disgruntledduck.com.
Hi guys, welcome to another fun-packed episode. Probably like me, you're living the lockdown dream at the minute. It's giving you a load of time to make a load of models. As promised, I said I was going to do one on decals. I'm going to sit up a bit better there actually. Actually, to begin with, let's do the shirt as always. Mrs. is going to be frustrated that I'm showing this on camera, but my reality check bounced. Now you might see it is absolutely filthy. Reason being, this is one of the t-shirts I actually wear when I make models because I am the messiest person. I don't think it's my fault, it just happens. I mean, I was sitting down with the missus last night watching TV. And she's like, what's that on your foot? I'm like, oh, that's paint. God knows how it got there, but anyway, it ended up there. So anyway, that's what we're going to do this week. What I've got is I've got some of these guys, these little Tamiya brick walls. And I've got some Decal Solutions. So we've got from Humbrol, if you can see that, Decal Fix. I've got, this is what I use in general. It's the Vallejo Decal Fix and Decal Softener. Also, we've got, which is probably one of the most popular and most talked about, Microset and Microsole. Alright, so we've got them. I've also got, I'll just grab these over. You see that? A load of decals. So these are left over from builds, different brands. There's an Academy one, there's some Tamiya, Hobby Boss, a couple of lesser known brands. I think that's Aeroplast and this is, I don't even know what that's from. And I've also got these inkjet printed decals. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make up these walls. Do 4 in total. We're going to do one as our test, our base basically. Oh, pardon me. Which is just going to be gloss varnish, decals, gloss varnish, which is generally the way a lot of people do it. The other ones we're going to test out one of the solutions on each of them. We're going to come back in 24 hours and we're going to see which ones perform the best. So yeah, hopefully a little bit of a helpful video. I hope you enjoy. And yeah, let's get down to the workbench and check these guys out. Right, so basically this is what we're going to do. Got my walls, I've painted all these off, given it a little bit of red at the end. I've painted them all as red brick walls, but I've realised some of these ain't going to really show up. Some of these decals I've got ain't going to show up on the red side. So I've whitewashed them as well. They've had a coat of varnish, clear varnish. I use this stuff, Alkalad 2 Aqua Gloss. Yeah, I've just found I'm quite happy with that. Whatever you want to use, you can use. Apparently these don't really react with any of the main varnishes, so hopefully that'll be true, and we'll see that as this comes out. Now, what I've done is, so we know what we're doing, I labelled the back of every one of them. So number 1 is going to be our control piece. So this is just going to have the varnish, the decal, and another layer of varnish. Number 2 is going to be the Vallejo, so that's the V. Number 3 is our Humbrol one, so that's that one, and finally number 4 is going to be our Microsole. So basically what I've got, I thought these would be good because I've got, I can easily break most of these decals into 4s, especially like these sheets, and these I've got bloody 100 of these little guys. So I'm going to trim all these up into 4s. Make it even and then try and distribute them evenly so they all look identical, so when we actually put them up at the end we're going to have a nice little visual there. So yeah, I'm going to get on with that. I'm not going to show you the process because it's going to be boring as hell. I'm going to read the instructions for this stuff because I know with this one you have to apply it before we apply the decals, and I believe this one as well. I could I know one of them you have to apply beforehand. So yeah, gonna get that done and then I'll come back once we've layered one of these up and show you some more. Right, so this is the first one done, which has already shown me a hell of a lot before. This is just the blank, the control one. So most of the decals have gone on fine. These photo printed decals, now they are extremely delicate. This is the first one I applied. So normally when I apply decals I put them in a little bowl of water let them sit for what, 30 seconds to a minute, and yeah, they come off. This just literally fell apart. So I tried a couple more to varying successes in this little tub of water. The ink can run as well, so I'm just when you finish up, you just roll over a cotton bud to take the moisture off, a Q-tip I think some people call these. Just take the moisture off the decal and to let it sink in. It seems to, if you see, I stopped doing it now, but it seems to take that ink off. So there you have to be really delicate. What I found doing that worked was, instead of putting them in there, put them down on the sides as so, into the water with a paintbrush, and just drip the water on top, just so you've got a light film of water on top of it, and then give that about 20 seconds and then lift them up. You can see some of these other ones I've done have come out a lot better doing it that way. So yeah, that's the first thing we've learnt from this straight away. So right, leave that one now. I have onto my next one. I've given this one a coat, that's my Vallejo one. I've given it a coat of the Decal Fix, so that's still a little bit tacky. I just want that to dry out a little bit before I move on to that. So I think the next one is, I'm going to work on the Humbrol one, which is this little guy here. So we're going to try and get exactly the same look of the wall on that one, and then yeah, move on to the next ones. Right, so there we go. All the decals are on. As you can see, as we go down, that's the first, second, third, fourth one I did. Yeah, I'm starting to get the hang of these photo printed, inkjet printed decals. Very delicate. You've got to hit them at exactly the right point. I couldn't get this this shell one on any of them to come out perfectly, but the other ones I seem to have got the hang of. They're quite nice, you know. They're very, very delicate. I can't stress that enough. So basically what we've done now is I've applied where it says to the Decal Fix beforehand and the micro set beforehand. The Humbrol one says you can soak the decals in it beforehand, but I didn't want to risk that because that seemed like it wasn't going to end out too well. I'm going to let these dry for about an hour. It's quite warm today. I'm going to let these dry about an hour because, as you can see, using the cotton buds just pulls the ink straight out of these inkjet printed ones. So I need to let them dry out naturally. We can then go apply some of this stuff and yeah, then leave them a bit longer, and hopefully tomorrow we can have some awesome looking decals. Right, so these guys have had a time to dry up now. Yeah, you can see the film on these. So, right, that's number one, that's our control one. So let's keep that out of the way. Number two, our Vallejo. Get a nice clean paintbrush out for this. No, that's not clean enough. Oh, yeah, that looks good for this. Right, so there's the decal softener. I'm going to be really interested to see how these react, especially with these these printed ones. So just brush, 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 as we do. Right, so that's right, we're giving it a quick coat of the decal softener. So I'm going to leave that, what am I going to leave that for? What time is it now? Leave that for about 4 or 5 hours. Have a look how it's going and then maybe apply another coat. See what we think. So that's that one done. Next, what have we got? Next, the Humbrol one. So I'm surprised this guy doesn't come with a brush attached. Usually most of their stuff comes with a brush attached, so there we go, get it for the camera. clean my brush out. Right, let's see how this one goes on. So yeah, with that Vallejo, it didn't seem to damage these printed decals, these ones that come from the inkjet printer, which I was really surprised about, to be fair. I thought they would have just eaten them up. So a nice little layer of this on top of these. Let it work its magic. So this one is definitely one that says put one coat on and then leave it overnight. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to come back to this one and add a second coat or anything. I'm just going to do exactly what it says. Yeah, whereas the other one says you might need more than one, I think this stuff is literally leave it for what, 12 or 24 hours or whatever it is, and then it comes out pretty spanking. That's what we hope. I've got them all covered. Seems to be about all done. So right, that one goes to the side. Finally, last of these, give the brush a clean off, is the microsole. There we go. So that's the final one for our microsole. So we're going to apply some of this, same thing again, a nice liberal coat over the top. Of all our little decals. This is quite cool, it's quite interesting actually seeing how different brands of decals react, specifically how long they actually take to come off the paper when you immerse them in water. Now so far these guys from the Hobby Boss ones, they came out so quickly, they just literally jumped off the paper. These inkjet printed ones were, I'd say they're more like an avocado. You know, you wait for an avocado to ripen and ripen and ripen, and suddenly it's ripe, and that's it, you've got to get it right then. That's the best way to describe those, I think. I think that's most of these done. The Tamiya ones were a fair time to come off, a little bit of resistance. The Academy, which are these ones up here, they took an absolute age. I didn't think they were going to come off at all. But yeah, that was quite, that's not actually that interesting, but yeah, it was for me. I'm quite fucking boring, to be fair. Right, there we go. See, that's lifted that straight back up, and that's had everything on it. That's interesting. That's a Tamiya one, that is. None of these others are lifting up. And that's had that, the adhesive and the adhesive, the decal, and now it's had this, but that's lifted that up, so okay. I've got to be honest, I'm trying to see if this does eat away at it. Yeah, it does, but I've got to really work it. So yeah, I'm not going to go back over these, especially those inkjet ones. I'm going to leave that now. Leave that to sit, the same as with that Vallejo one, which is here. This one I'm definitely not going to touch, the Humbrol one. I'm going to have a look at these in about 5 hours, see if they need another coat, which I might do. Then we'll come back tomorrow and have a look how that's all worked out. Right, so these have had overnight to settle in a bit. So there's our first one. You can see there's no change at all on that. Yeah, no change at all. Second one, which is the Vallejo, which is what I use generally, and if you can see that, it's giving it a sort of a matte finish. That seems to have worked on everything. They've sunk in, and also I can't see any of the outside film on any of that stuff. Third one, the Humbrol, I can see it sunk in definitely, but as you can see from that, you can still see, especially on these printed ones, on the inkjet printed ones, you can really see that backing. So that's the third one. On the fourth one is the microsol. This is what everyone raves about. Can definitely see it's gone into some of the on the lines. I can't see as much on these inkjet printed ones again, and I can still see definitely, I don't know how the camera's catching that. There we go, you can still see the shine of that, of the backing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run over a coat of matte varnish in all of these, just to even them up, and then see how they finish up in a couple of hours once that dries. Right, so let's get comfortable. Right, so I think we've done with this one now. So let's go through. They've had a few hours to dry with the varnish, and yeah, we can now see what's happened with each product. So this is the control one. This has got nothing on it. It's just got the clear varnish to begin with, put the decals on, and then we've gone over with the matte varnish to finish. So you can see, I'll take some photos of this to stick up at the end. It's just laid on top of that. It's not sunk into any of the gaps at all. In respect to the film, I mean, this guy's even cracked a little bit, this little yellow guy there, as is this guy here. So yeah, a couple of those transfers are just actually cracked without doing anything when they've tried to, I think, naturally set into here. The decals have been too rigid. You can see on these inkjet printed ones, you can really see, specifically this one, you can see the film all the way around that. And again, you got it, it's as it catches the light, you can see. If you see that around the Castrol GTX and that shell one there. So yeah, that's it with nothing. It's really not gone into any of these gaps. It's not moulded into anything. It's just sat on the top. So that's our control one. Now, right. So this is the 2V one. So this was the Vallejo Decal Softener and the Vallejo Decal Fix. Now this is what I use generally. There's no specific reason why I use this. It was just the first one I came across, and I purchased it. As you can see, that's sunk in. You can see that. You can see that sunk in really nicely into the brickwork. As has that. As has all of these, really. That looks really nice. I'm really happy with that. The other thing, alright, so I can see a little bit of the film on this one here. But as the other ones go, I can't really see any of that excessive film around the outside. Which I kind of guessed, because even before I'd done this final coat of varnish, this product sort of mats it out anyway. So that's really well hidden. Okay, so that's number 2, that's a Vallejo. Here we have, there's number 3, that's the Humbrol. That was this little guy here. So let's see how this is done. Again, yeah, that's going in quite nicely. That's adhered. There as well, you can see that's crept in, and on the yellow piece looks really good. So that's taken it in. As for the outside of the film, you can see that one is really still shiny on the outside. Going along, yeah, you can see when you twist it, the film just catches the light in certain places, so you can see it's worked quite well, I'd say very well, on most of, it's worked well on these ones for sure. All the film's gone on those. They're the Hobby Boss ones, the Tamiya ones, you can still see a tiny bit of the film inside the centre of that 6. This one from Aeroplast, this stripe along the side, it's the film is vanished on. But these inkjet printed ones, you can still clearly see the film in there. So yeah, that's the Humbrol. Finally, the microsole. So this is what I have the highest hopes for, the microsole. This is what everyone raves about. It's what's all over the forums, all over the web. People are saying they use this stuff. But all right, let's see what's done. Okay, so that's snuck in really nicely. You can see that's. Let's compare that. So I think I'm going to take the Humbrol one out. So that's the Vallejo one. That's the microsole one. I'd say that's pretty even, to be fair. That is pretty even. So that's come out really nicely. All of them have gone in really nicely, but that film, so yeah, even on a Tamiya one it's done a lot better than the Humbrol ones performed. But it's the inkjet printed ones. Can you see? You can see that glisten all over it, and that's after the matte varnish that's still coming through. So yeah, I can see it's not as bad as the Humbrol one, but it's definitely not as good as the Vallejo. So all in all, if I have to pick one of these, you know, if it wasn't for testing out yeah, see, a little bit of gleam still there. If it wasn't for testing out the inkjet printed ones, I would say that the microsole and the decal softener are pretty in line with each other. Now, one thing to bear in mind as well is both the microsole and the Vallejo, they had the Decal Fix on beforehand. I didn't do that with the Humbrol Decal Fix. It does say you can soak the decals in beforehand. That I didn't do because I was just concerned that it would completely eat away at them beforehand. So that might not be as fair a test. You know, it might have come out a little bit better. But if you're going to buy one of these, the microsole is really nice. But if you are going to switch between these inkjet printed ones and the pack made ones or shop bought ones, I think definitely the Vallejo is the way to go, which I'm very surprised about. I didn't think that would be I didn't think that would win this. I didn't think that would be a clear a superior product. But I'm going to keep using. I mean, I've got all these guys now, so I'm going to keep using them. And then, you know, we'll see over time if we can learn any tricks or tips that make them a little bit easier. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's I've been using this for a bit longer and I just naturally know how to use it. But yeah, that's definitely come out the best for me. Alright guys, thanks for joining. That was a bit of a different one today. I hope that's useful, and I'll see you next time. Happy modelling.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment.